Welcome to the Cabana Boys Podcast. This is Nelson. I'm the owner and chief Cabana Boy here at Cabana Boys Events. Welcome to episode 40. I can't believe we hit the 40 mark. That's a big milestone, I think. Not quite as big as 50, but thanks for tuning in. Today we have Chris Essex, our team lead for the Nashville Cocktail Cowboys. We're going to get into his background, what he does in and outside of Cocktail Cowboys, maybe a couple two truths and a lie, maybe some special version of fishbowl questions. We're actually in Nashville right now.
We are. I convinced him to fly all the way out just for this podcast.
Yeah, you can tell. I got a hat. I got boots. I got a steer on my shirt.
Yep.
I got these like Aztec designs. I'm fully country.
Yeah.
He's
every part of the country.
Exactly. How you doing, man?
Doing great.
Good.
Doing great.
One last thing before we get into it. There will be a special announcement at the end of the podcast. So tune in, listen all the way through. It'll be pretty special. So thanks for coming on. Or I guess thank you for inviting
thank
me
you
to
for
come
coming
on.
to my town. Yeah. Welcome to my home. Also, if you're looking in the background, this is definitely my home
100%.
that I own for sure.
Yeah.
Don't ask any other further questions.
Are you thirsty?
Always. This is
We have
Nashville.
a special version of the Cabana Boys cooler. We call this the Cocktail Cowboys Ice Bucket.
Okay.
Let's break it open.
Great. Let's do it.
These are kind of cold.
Blackberry.
Cheers.
Oh, yeah, that's going to sound so good on that mic. I already know. We're going to use that in a song.
So, Chris, tell us about yourself. What do you do? You're obviously the team lead for us here, Cocktail
Yes.
Cowboys. We'll get into Cocktail Cowboys a little bit, but we want to hear about like your personal life as much as you want to share other jobs. You're a musician, but tell us all about that.
This is perfect, actually, because I just canceled my therapy session. So this is just going to take its place right now. Obviously, I live out here in Nashville, Tennessee. I do music full time, country music. So that takes up a lot of my life outside of the Cocktail Cowboys. I play downtown on Broadway, which if you're looking on our social media, you're going to see a lot of content later because we're going to be down on Broadway doing some interviews, bar crawl content, all the good stuff. And I gig down at every one of those honky tonks just about 5 days a week. And then
You told me that there's like a circuit. Right?
Yeah.
So all the musicians kind of
There's like a few circuits. Broadway and the downtown playing scene is very interesting. And for anyone that is looking to move here for music, know that it is easy to get in at first, hard to make good money doing it on a consistent basis. I think the hard part of it is there's a few circuits, and what that basically means is I play in the Tootsie circuit, which is Tootsie's, Honky Tonk Central, Kid Rock's, Rippies. And so the people that book me book for all four of those bars. Now, there's a lot of bands on that circuit, and there are a lot of stages, but there's only so many stages and so many times. And obviously, prime times are where you make the money. So, it's a grind. You have to stay committed. You have to work a lot of morning shifts where there's 3 people there, but it all is worth it because this weekend I'll be closing down Rippies.
Let's
10
go.
p.m. to close, so it's going to be packed, and that's worth all those Monday mornings that I was playing for 3 people.
So that's kind of like, as far as the Broadway circuit goes, that's kind of what you aim for, right?
Yeah. You want, every shift can be a great shift, it just depends on who is there. I played a Wednesday night one time with, we won't name who he is, but a WWE superstar came in.
Ooh.
And he was spending a lot of money on us, and we were loving that. So every shift can be a good shift depending on who's in town. But typically your 6 to 10, your 10 PMs, especially on the weekend, or where you're going to guarantee a lot of traffic.
Nice. So, well, congrats on that.
Thank you.
Being like at the pinnacle of Broadway, like that's a big deal.
Yeah.
Because Nashville's like, what do they call it? The live music capital of the world, or
they
just
call it a
Music
lot
City?
of things. Now we're Bachelorette capital of the world.
Bachelorette capital of the world. A lot of capitals. This town is just buzzing always. There's the SEC tournament is happening right now.
Yep.
Basketball tournament. Like there's always something going on here.
And so You're a Trojan, right?
Yeah, fight on.
Yeah, SEC that's not an SEC thing, right?
You don't know anything about sports, I can tell.
Not college. I went to a D3 school. We were the home of the Tartans, which if you want to know what Tartans is, yeah, that's a shade of plaid.
Oh.
Yeah.
Nice.
So roll tart.
What school is that?
I went to Carnegie Mellon.
Okay. I've heard
Yeah.
that.
Yeah. It's
They're more well known for their academics than their
for
sports.
sure.
Yeah.
They're also very, very well known for the student loan debt that I am currently paying off.
That's not unique to Carnegie.
No. That's just about everywhere. Okay, so SEC is South, right?
Yeah.
Southeastern Conference.
This year is the
spell.
first year with Oklahoma and Texas, or like the two new schools in the SEC.
Got you.
So they expanded. USC is now part of the Big Ten, as well as UCLA, Oregon, and Washington. So they all joined. So now there's like 4 big conferences instead of 5.
Okay.
Pac-12 is technically, it still exists, but it's not really around anymore.
Great.
Just because it's Oregon State and Washington State, and that's kind of it.
Right.
So, RIP Pac-12,
I really held on to them for a while.
But I mean, so how long have you been in Nashville?
December of 2019. Actually, coming to Nashville was a crazy experience for me. I had just, I was working on a cruise ship for 6 months. I did a show called $1 Million Quartet, played Johnny Cash on there for 6 months, and saved up as much money as I could to come here because I wanted to get in the studio right away. I wanted to, get recording music and stuff like that. So I got here December of 2019. I had to find, a normal 9 to 5, but that was actually just me bartending.
Okay.
And it was actually right around this time when we got a tornado and it hit the home that I was renting out of.
Oh my gosh.
Destroyed the home. So couldn't live there anymore. And I just moved to town. So I was kind of couch surfing for a little bit. And then COVID hit. And so then I also was out of a job. So I was like homeless and unemployed within the first couple months of living here.
Yeah, welcome to Nashville.
Yeah, right.
Jeez.
But I think it was interesting because up to that point, I had been very on the move. I never lived in one place too long, which was also fair. I went to college and I was doing gigs over the summer, so there's a lot of traveling in that. But I just never had settled down in a place, so it kind of was that decision: how bad do you want to be here doing this?
Yeah.
Because you have now every right to like move back home and not.
So you moved here to pursue music?
Yeah.
Then? Okay.
So I made the choice. I said, listen, everyone's going through some stuff right now. COVID hit. It stopped the world. And I said, it's probably good that it's stopping me a little bit. It gave me time to actually be like, all right, what do you want as an artist? What do you want from your music? What do you want from your life? And that's when I fell in love with Nashville, actually. Yeah. So I fell in love with Nashville first. And then when life opened up, I fell in love with the career opportunities that came my way.
For sure. So you spend your time on Broadway, Cocktail Cowboys.
Yes.
Anything else like that fills your days and weeks?
Also, songwriting. That's basically the in between and the artist career side of things.
Okay.
Because Broadway is a job. For some people that are career Broadway performers, and that's where they will be, and those people will make great money doing so.
Yeah.
But for me, I want to be a country music artist that gets to play other places other than just downtown Broadway.
Totally.
So that means that's my 9 to 5, Yeah. So that means every time I'm not playing music, I'm making music, and so that takes up plenty of time.
Do you
there
write
too.
songs for other people?
Yes, okay. I write songs for other people. I also write for myself. It just depends.
Yeah.
And it's funny, you have co-writes. So in Nashville, co-writes, you probably can get up to 3 a day, especially if you're on a publishing team. That's how many songs you're writing a day or how many co-write sessions you have. Normally they're in 4-hour blocks. So you could do, I prefer the 8 to 12 situation, but when you live in Nashville, people are hungover often, so you get more the starting at 10 a.m.
Yeah,
which I've gotten used to. But so like 10 to 2.
Okay. What is that? I don't understand.
So it's like 4 hours. So you will get in a room with probably about 3 to 4 writers.
Okay.
And you guys get in. Everyone brings their guitars somewhere. So either they can come over to my studio, I can go over to theirs. We can write in the living room. We can write outside. It doesn't really matter. But you all get together at a certain time, and let's say it's 10 to 2. You're all going to get in the room, and everyone's going to say, so what should we write about today? And people will throw out titles, maybe like a melody line. Maybe they're like, listen, Morgan Wallen's really popping off with this kind of melody idea, you know, and like, let's write a Morgan Wallen song, or, I'm really being influenced by where Zach Top is going for, like, let's bring some 90s influence here. So then you decide where you're going with it. And so like me, I am more on the producer melody side of things. And then you get writers that are more like top line or lyric writers. And that's where you kind of want to figure out who you're writing with. Because if you just got a bunch of lyricists in a room, you're going to have a very poetic song with a terrible melody. Yeah. If you got a bunch of melody writers, you're like, wow, this sounds great, but we've written about absolutely nothing. Yeah. So you want to make sure you've got like compatible writers in the room. And then, sometimes, a great lyricist comes up with a melody, and sometimes the melody person has the hook for the song. And so, yeah, you just spend 4 hours and you just keep throwing shit against the wall and see what sticks.
Is everybody like, you obviously choose other writers that like bring something to the table, right? People have to be creative. And
it's so funny though. I think I know that I was really stressed when I started co-writing because I didn't want to be the weak link ever. I didn't want to be the person that was not bringing something to the table, You could say nothing for 3 hours and fix the hook at the end, and your time was valuable in there. That's where Nashville and LA are very different. Okay. So Nashville, if you're in that writing session, if you threw out 6 words, but those 6 words made it to the song, you have your cut. So there's 4 people, you've got your 25% cut.
Really? Wow.
In LA, they like decide how much percent of the song you contributed. Because we write in like 3 to 4 songwriters. Out in LA, there could be like 20 songwriters on a song because you have the song that they sampled it from. Right. You have the producer that created the beat. Then you have the artist taking a cut. Then you probably have 4 songwriters in there as well. And then maybe someone threw in a line. So you've got to, well, at least that's the way they look at it. They're always looking to, okay, well, you threw in this 6 words. That comes out to 18% of value or whatever.
Interesting.
Here we don't do it that way, which is really nice because you're not always your best. But you're not always able to contribute the same amount to each song. But if you're contributing to the song, it doesn't matter, right? Like, it doesn't matter how you get there.
You might also say something that doesn't make
triggers someone else's mind.
Yeah,
100%. And I think that's the better way to look at it is because if you're stressing so much about the value you're making, it's like you're looking at, like the analogy, you're looking at the scoreboard while playing the game. So if you're looking at the scoreboard every time you make a point, then you're just focused on the score. You're not focused on the game, Yeah, and at the end of the day, that's what really matters is focusing on the game. The score will show itself at the end.
That's interesting. So have you released like albums or like?
I've released singles. This year, actually, I'll be having 5 to 6 songs come out, 5 of which a part of an EP. And the way EPs work is it's basically a bunch of singles that you're releasing leading up to the EP. And that's just a way of triggering the Apple and Spotify algorithms to say, oh, this is new music that you keep re-releasing because they look at day 1 streams of the release. So if I release 4 out of the 5 singles before the EP, but then re-release all of them on the day of the EP, under the EP, any of the streams that I have amounted up to that point show up as day 1 streams. So if I get 100K streams on the first song, 80 on the second, 60, 40, 20, right? All of those streams then show up as day 1 streams. And so Spotify is like, wow, this EP is doing really well for day 1. Let's put it algorithmically to the people that probably will listen to it.
Interesting.
Thus creating more streams.
Yeah. The rich get richer. right?
Yeah, well, I mean, the rich, off of Spotify is, I think the latest one they've decided is 0.006 cents a
I
stream.
mean, like in terms of like the momentum, right?
Yeah.
You have to get caught in the like algorithm in order for it to like
Keep going. Yeah. It's the same thing with any algorithm.
Right.
People are paying into it. Yeah, it will keep rewarding.
That's
itself.
awesome, dude. Well, we got a real musician on the couch here.
Yeah, something like that.
So how'd you get involved with Cocktail Cowboys?
So back when I was a stripper. No, so I used to be a part of a show. It was a burlesque show in town. And one of the guys that was in the show with me actually was in Cocktail Cowboys first. Mm-hmm. And Anthony, shout out Anthony. He's out in Vegas right now.
Yeah.
He's leading a show out in Vegas right now. He's great. He's also, if you ever look up that man, he is one of the most ripped men I have ever seen in my life.
We follow him on our like business TikTok, and it pops up every once in a while. Like, Jimmy.
Yeah, and he's never wearing clothes. But like, also, if I look like that, I would never wear clothes.
Carved out of stone.
Yeah, no, it's. But also credit to him, because I talked to him about it. He's like, it's been a couple decades of always eating clean, always checking his macros, never missing a gym session when he's supposed to. Like, that's Cheers to that. Cheers to that. Yeah. These are low calorie ones.
Our last episode, we had the founder of a company called Smidge. And it's a low alcohol, low calorie seltzer. It's actually vodka soda, but it's really good.
Yeah.
So it's like 2.5%. These are probably 5%. Half the alcohol, half the calories, and so it's a little bit like
a nicer alternative,
easier day drinker. Like
especially if you're someone that's like, I would like to drink with everyone, but I'm not really looking to drink.
Right.
That's a nice alternative.
All right, so Anthony introduced you.
So Anthony introduced me, and he was like, "Yeah, you would be great. You'd be great. Come on, apply." I applied, and started working with the Cocktail Cowboys after that. And it was great for my schedule, which I think is a great part of this job, is that, especially when I was just working on the team, the hours are really nice. If you can work, you work.
Right.
If you can't, you don't. You know what I mean? Like it's not really the pressure isn't on the guys necessarily to fulfill the workload there.
Right.
So, I mean, in terms of part-time gig, there's a lot of gigs that say, oh, we're part-time, but then really demand your commitment to that part-time,
Right.
This one was great. If I was done playing on Broadway, let's say I finished at 2 and there was a 3 p.m. party, I was there. It was like, I'm already downtown, and I've just fallen in love with the company ever since.
I'm happy to hear that.
Yeah.
You've been awesome. Obviously, like, not just as a cowboy, but as a team leading the squad here. It's been great. Talk to us about Nashville, because like you said earlier, Nashville's the bachelorette capital.
Yeah.
Like, and you've been here for a little while, kind of before the whole like bachelorette boom
happened. As it was starting to pick up.
How is, I guess, talk to us about like the Nashville bachelorette scene and how it's changed over the last few years.
It's tough to say like how it's changed. I think it's only just expanded.
Yeah.
I think the good and the bad side of coming to Nashville for the bachelorettes, which I think we end up being on the good side of things, is I think that there are now so many things to do that your bachelorette trip can go by like that, and you kind of say, what did I do over my bachelorette party? I say this to the parties that come through a lot, like, I think we're such a great reprieve from just being downtown in Nashville or just doing a party bus or something. Like, you have an opportunity to have a party thrown for you with your girls, where you're just focusing on your girls. Because, here's the deal, right? You go on a bachelorette trip, there's going to be a few single girls, right?
Right.
Obviously, you're not one of them, but, you've got single girls. You guys go out to the bars. Okay, well, who else are at the bars?
Yeah.
There are some guys there, right? And guys and girls tend to talk when they drink, which there's no problem in that. But to have an experience where you're saying, this is just us.
Right.
And we've got, these cute guys that come over and are serving us drinks, taking pictures for us, creating that memory that they will remember every part of it.
Yep.
and then forgetting memories on Broadway. That's the good difference there.
I mean, so we're in an Airbnb. This would be like a prime.
I told you it was my home.
Sorry to
I lease it out every once in a while,
But like this would be a prime place for us to serve. Like it's got a huge kitchen island. It's got a big balcony out here.
You got a table.
Table for games.
When you walk in, this would be like the prime location. You would be, we would walk in and be like, this party's going to be easy for us. Yeah. Drinking games. Plenty of things to set up, and make our drinks over there, balcony huge to take pictures, pop champagne, all of that stuff.
Shout out to Good Night Stays for hooking us up for this one. Yeah. But so walk us through the experiences that the Cocktail Cowboys offer in Nashville. So we got our standard party, which we kind of just touched on.
Yep. I think the best part too is even since I've started, it's only just expanded. Like the experience that we keep offering expands. So I think one of the first big expansions that started pretty early on was we went from our normal party. Normal party is 2 hours. Guys show up and their goal is to make your drinks, take your photos, play some, drinking games with you. Again, all things that you have supplied. So you've supplied, cups, you've supplied balls, you've supplied any of that stuff. I think the next thing we started with was game nights, which means that we bring, a bunch of different games to the table. Some drinking, some non-drinking, some bride focus, everything in between, which I think that was a nice touch. Adding the party packs that way, then you don't have to think about bringing anything. We bring it to you. Then I think the best thing that, every time we do it, it has great reviews is the line dancing party that we added.
Yeah.
So we added an option to have line dance teachers, which I also do. And then we have a few guys on our team that also teach line dance out here. And during your party, we will make sure that you learn Nashville line dances that you can then go take downtown on Broadway. Yeehaw to that. We've now just opened up our welcome service.
That's right.
So that way, if you're maybe not sure if you want to party, kind of want to dip your toes in the water and see how the bride likes the idea of it. / when you're getting in here, no one wants to take their bags up. No one wants to be the person in charge of making the first drinks for everyone or doing any of that stuff. Hire us. One guy's going to come over, invite all y'all into your Airbnb. And then that's also a good way for any of the bridesmaids or like maid of honors to see, does our bride or our birthday girl like this idea?
Right.
A cowboy, was this kind of cool? And then they can book us for a party later in the weekend. So that's I'm excited about that. We actually have our first one tonight.
That's right.
So we will see how that goes. And then from there, now we decided to just take over the rest of Nashville, which is our bar crawl.
Yep. Broadway boyfriends.
Oh yeah. Which it's so funny because so far the couple times that we've run it, everyone's like, where did that name come from? And I was like, okay, well, you left your boyfriends at home. We're here to be that for you on Broadway. But I think the nice part is it's the respectful way of it. Like, we're here to do the task that you would normally want your boyfriend to do. We're going to hold your purses. We're going to take your photos. We're going to make sure you were getting to and from the bars safely. If you are Ubering after, we're making sure we're waiting until you've taken that Uber and everything like that. And then we sprinkle, the cowboy charm on that. We make sure there's a line dance lesson in there. We also have a couple different scavenger hunts, which always are interesting.
Scavenger hunt, mechanical bull.
Oh yeah, the bull riding always does well. Jello shots. We take you to Barstool, Hanks, Whiskey River.
I'm biased because you and I kind of created this thing.
Yeah.
But I just feel like this bar crawl is like so unique and so different than any other bar crawl because of the Cowboys primarily, but also the line dance lesson. Mm-hmm. The mechanical bull, like some others have that, right?
Sure.
And obviously the drink specials are great, but like the amalgamation of all these things makes it like so special. Plus,
I think it's the attention to it, right? So I've been on a few bar crawls before, and the difference, and they tend to be bigger bar crawls where it's just like 25 plus people,
right.
I think our cap is like maybe 26 with two guys. We can always do more if we have, more guys with it, but those are settled afterwards. I think it's the attention that our guys are able to give on top of those things.
Yeah.
So like even in line dance, I know when we were first starting, we were struggling to find line dance companies to teach during it, because the ones that do teach downtown, which I recommend everyone look into, are looking more for that to be the experience of like an hour and a half lesson. So you're stopping for, which for the average person may not be something they want to invest in their time of a weekend. You know, an hour and a half of just line dancing from someone that's never line danced before probably seems like a lot.
Yeah.
Doing 25 minutes with a private teacher on a floor where no one else can look at you except for you and your girls seems a lot easier to do. Also, you know, it being the second stop after you've already had a shot and, you know, a White Claw makes it a little easier. And then our guys record the whole thing too, you know, on your phone so that you get to see it afterwards. Take you to the scavenger hunt, bring you to the mechanical bull and talk to the bull, I guess, operator before you. You don't have to ever set anything up. You don't have to think. Turn your brain off. We do it for you.
Yeah, love it. Cool, man. Well, I love the commercial for Cocktail Cowboys Nashville.
You know.
Cheers again.
Cheers, yeah, man.
Team lead. We got a few more minutes left. I wanted to. I brought. Here we go. I brought some questions. If you're a listener of the pod, you know that we do the Cabana Boys fishbowl questions, but we don't have a fishbowl, so we're going to do the country version.
I like it.
The Stetson questions, let's call it that.
Ooh, Stetson questions.
A construction worker this morning complimented me on my Stetson.
Nice.
So I'm pretty proud of it.
Nice. I like the evolution. Now they don't catcall anymore. They just they just say, hey, buddy, you're looking good.
Can you take a question? We'll both answer it.
All right. I think this is one right here.
Hopefully it's a good one.
All right. If there was a country that was not the U.S. that you would want to be the leader of, which would it be and why?
Wow.
Well, this is
in this political climate.
Interesting.
You can answer that if you want.
The Cabana Boys podcast gets canceled on episode 40.
Yikes. Let's try another one.
You're not trying to do world domination on our last podcast?
Yeah. All right. This is a good one.
Okay.
All right.
I'm listening.
What's the most embarrassing thing that has ever happened to you on a date?
Oh, all right. Mom, you're not listening to this podcast part. All right. I don't know if this would be a date, but this was a time where a young lady and I were getting to know each other back in college.
Yeah.
So I worked as an RA back in college, and you always come to school early before, you know, the rest of the students do. And this other girl was an RA, and we had gone out. She was back with me, and we were hanging out in my room. And at some point, she's moving around and knees me in the face. Don't ask for the logistics on why those body parts were near each other. But either way, I get kneed in the face, and my nose just starts bleeding like nonstop. So it was apartment style. And so I was like, no worries. Like, let me just go clean up in the bathroom. So I leave my room to go to the bathroom, clean up. She follows me after a little bit. And then my room door shuts. Well, these are key access things. No. And my key is now in that room. And we're lacking certain clothing parts at this point. And so now it's like, crap, what am I going to do? Well, my fraternity at the time was across the street, and I did have gym shorts near me. So I put on gym shorts, went to my fraternity. Of course, if you know anything about fraternities, they're very interested in what you're doing in the middle of the night, shirtless with a bloody nose. Then I had to call campus security. They had to come let me in while she had to hide in a closet. And
that's pretty good.
Yeah, no, yeah. I wonder why there was never a second opportunity for us. If you're watching this, hey, we're a real one through it.
Good stories.
Yeah.
Well, we'll end on that. I don't think I have one. My wife is sitting over here. Is there anything embarrassing that's happened on our dates? No, I've just
nothing too bad. Nothing too bad.
I can't think of anything, but if I think of it, I'll share it on a future episode.
Good.
Well, tell us. I'm gonna wrap us up here. Tell us where people can find you as a musician first.
Great. You can find me at Christopher J. Essex ES6. On Instagram, TikTok. That's the easiest way to tell people, but you pronounce it S6, but yes. And
then you can find the Cocktail Cowboys at cocktailcowboys.com. there's going to be a new URL here pretty soon, but right now it's cocktailcowboys.com. It will be batchpartyhosts.com. And then on socials at batchpartyhosts, and the Cabana Boys podcast. But Thanks for being on, man.
Well, Cabana Boys Podcast for right now. Should we make
That is the announcement. So if you've stuck around
if you've
this
made
long,
it here,
episode number 40, this episode will be the last episode of the Cabana Boys Podcast. But don't worry, we're not completely going off the air. We're going to take a little bit of a hiatus, and we're going to come back bigger, better, and fresher than ever. Similar guests, but we're going to have a little bit more of a refined focus about what we talk about, more about event hosting and bartending and things like that. New brand, new name, that will all be revealed here in the next few weeks. So keep listening, keep subscribing. And Chris, thanks again for being on.
yeah, let's do this.
All right.
Cheers.
Thank you all for listening.
Cheers,
Catch
y'all.
y'all soon.
Thank you for listening to the Cabana Boys Podcast. Please like and subscribe to get new episodes as they're released. Write to the show by sending an email to thecabanaboyspodcast@gmail.com. You can find the video version of the show on YouTube at the Cabana Boys YouTube channel. The Cabana Boys and all other related brands are also on Instagram and TikTok at Cabana Boys Podcast, The Cabana Boys, The Cocktail Cowboys, and The Cocktail Boys. This has been a T-Door production.